Hello, I'm Nick Markey, physical therapist here at Beach Barbell Physical Therapy in Wilmington, North Carolina. Hope you're doing well today. Today I want to talk about a topic that reaches and touches a lot of people, and that's low back pain. There's some statistic out there that something like 95% of people will have some experience with low back pain in their life. I have personally have had low back pain. Ironically enough, I injured my back in physical therapy school, but I guess that's not a bad place to do it if you're going to do it. And then, occasionally I would have, tweaks here and there. So I have to some degree experienced what many of you probably have experienced. So anyway, so we already started with one statistic. Let's just go through some simple statistics to help educate you a little bit. A lot of people, when they have low back pain, refer to a couple things. Degenerative disc disease, which sounds really scary, but it's basically just fancy words for arthritis. And arthritis is a very natural part of aging, and since it happens very slowly, we tend to adapt to it very well. Okay. Another thing are herniated discs, slip discs. Basically, the idea being that the disc material, which is kind of like little cushion pillows between each vertebrae in your spine, sometimes a little bit of the inner jelly can come out. And that's herniated disc. Those can sometimes cause issues, but for most people, they're not probably causing any issue. And there's something like upwards of maybe 50 to 70%, if not more, of the population at large that have herniated discs and degenerative disc disease and have absolutely no symptoms at all. Okay, so let that sink in for a second. There's people walking out there with, if we just grabbed them off the street and did an MRI of their back, we'd find herniated discs, degenerative disc disease, and you'd ask them, do they have back pain or do they have any pain? And they might say no, and they might be able to completely do anything and everything. Now that does not mean that yours or someone else's herniated disc may not causing symptoms, but it's not always the case. And it's important, this is an important thing to understand, because a big part of pain, particularly with the back, is how safe we feel. So if someone tells you, especially if it's a clinician, your doctor or surgeon, whatever, tells you you have degenerative disc disease, again, a very scary sounding thing, herniated discs, and they tell you to be careful, To me, that's akin to a parent, when a kid falls down, a parent going and grabbing and freaking out, right? We all know what happens with the kid, right? They cry for probably the next hour and they're potentially in a lot of more pain, versus the parent that says, hey, are you okay? Maybe gives them a hand up, checks them out, and then the kid says yes, and the kid's back to playing within minutes, right? We are still that same human being, okay? As adults, we still have that need for reassurance, okay? And oftentimes when we're seeking out, professional help, from a clinician, whether it's a doctor or a physical therapist, a chiropractor, or whatever, we want to know if we're going to be okay, all right? And if then that clinician goes, well, you've got a bad back, you're bone on bone, you got degenerative disc disease, you have these herniated discs, what that's going to do is that's going to freak you out, okay? That's going to increase the amount of threat you feel about what's going on with you, and probably increase your pain, and probably lead you to make worse choices in terms of your health. You may not move your back as much, you may stop doing activities that are very good and healthy for you because you're afraid of maybe your back falling apart. And I'm here to tell you, you're not damaged goods, okay? Like we said, upwards of 50 to 70% of the population have herniated discs and degenerative disc disease, okay? Now, that's all great. It's fine and dandy. So we just gave you a little bit of education. I'm trying to reassure you. When people are in person with me, part of my reassurance isn't just my words and my very friendly, as you can tell, demeanor, but also showing the movements and exercises that we'll talk a little bit more in a little bit, as kind of more physical reassurance, okay? So if we use that same example, a kid falls off a bike Maybe he lands on his knee, he's crying, he's rubbing his knee, he's freaking out. Mom comes over, says, honey, are you okay? Do you want me to kiss your boo-boo? She kisses the boo-boo. Maybe he moves the leg around, rubs it. Those are all kind of reassurance, right? You're touching it, you're making sure there's no bones sticking out or anything crazy, right? So a big part of that is also that interaction with the clinician. We touch the part, even though the touching probably has little to do with like actually going, I'm going to feel exactly what's going on. A lot of the touching, one, we want to make sure there isn't something, like a bone sticking out at a place, because that could be bad and you might need surgery for that. But we also, part of that is that physical touch is reassurance. Let you know that you are okay. Let your body know, your protective system that's kind of freaking out for you, know that you are okay, all right? So where do we go from there? Well, we got to start something. We got to start some sort of activity. And it's the cool part with the back is our research shows us that you could really do just about any exercise. They've compared weightlifting, my favorite, to Pilates, to yoga, to aquatic exercises, to just a walking program, okay? And they all kind of come out to the same. So they all seem to help some with low back pain. So that's cool, because then that means you get to have some choice in the matter. You get to go try things and see what works for you. So let's say that if you love Pilates, well, you can go try Pilates. Maybe there's some moves that don't feel too good, and so maybe you just kind of don't worry about those ones right now. But maybe there's lots of other moves that you really like and you feel really good and you feel like you get a good workout. Same principle with like the strength training, okay? And when you're doing this, I kind of have a green light, red light system, you could say. Maybe you throw in the yellow light too, okay? So green light would be like, I'm doing the exercise, I feel totally fine, right, during the exercise, okay? And then later on, for the next 24, maybe to 48 hours, how do I feel? If I felt totally fine, it's all green light, right? So if I'm doing an exercise and maybe I feel a little bit of pain, but not too bad, right? There's different kinds of feelings of pain, right, and severities. So maybe in that sense, that's kind of like a yellow light. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to kind of be a little bit more ginger, maybe a little more slow with this one, just because I'm feeling it a little bit more. And then same exact thing, I'm going to monitor it again for the next 24 to 48 hours. And again, if it was okay, like it was tolerable to you, that's your choice. You get to make that call, because it's your body and what you're feeling, then it's probably okay. Give it a green light now, okay? If it really, really hurts during the activity, it just does not feel right, don't worry about that one. Skip that one for today, okay? And then sometimes what'll happen is you'll do an exercise and it may feel totally fine during the thing, and then you maybe feel a lot more pain later on. So then that's where you want to kind of monitor that. And then next time you do it, maybe you try to do a little bit less and then see what happens again, okay? So let's just start somewhere, okay? Now what I'll typically do is I'll start with strength training, because I know exercise can help with someone's pain, right? And I'm very explicit telling them, saying, hey, look, just about any exercise can help your pain, but I like to teach strength training because that's just my bias. I also like it because strength training has tons of other awesome benefits, like obviously it builds up your muscles, builds up your bones, which is great, right? But it also has neurodegenerative protective effects. That's like things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. There's no system that strength training, and actually lots of exercise in general, kind of higher intensity exercise, does not help. So in my mind, what better way can I reassure someone than helping them lift a lot of weight, right? Like if their body's going, oh my gosh, our back is bad, we can't use it, but then I show this person that they can lift heavy weights, well, screw that thing that's telling us that you can't do anything, right? I just can't think of a better way to reassure someone. And that's why I kind of tend to stay away from like very hardcore core training, because I think a lot of times that what they'll do is just focus the mind on the back. Like it's all about the back, gotta constantly protect the back. And again, I'm not against people doing core training if they love it. Like if somebody does core training and that's their jam, they're just all about it, they love it, they want to do it forever, do it all day, every day, and they're fine with that and it's tolerable and all that good stuff, then have at it. I'm happy they found something they like to do. But for some people, one, core training might be boring. It's kind of boring to me. And two, it might tend to kind of focus, maybe obsess too much about the back. And if we're talking about a system that's trying to protect the back, then maybe that might not be the best thing for all cases, okay? But if I give someone a heavy weight and they got to lift it up and put it on the ground, lift it up and put it on the ground, maybe before they even came in, they're like, I can't bend over to pick up a pen, but now they're lifting 50, 100 pounds off the ground or something. You know, they're going to trust their body way more, and their body's going to trust them way more, because it's going to say, oh wow, I lifted up that 50 pounds 10 times, maybe my back isn't going to explode. And then next time maybe I do 55, and the next time maybe I do 60. Again, monitoring how it goes afterwards. So that's like my little pitch for strength training, because of obviously all the other positive effects with it. And also didn't mention that it's kind of like, it's very objective, right? So if I start with 5 pounds and I lift it up 10 times, okay, I've got a number. I did 5 pounds 10 times. Awesome. What do I do next time? Maybe I try 10 pounds 10 times, right? Like, it's very easy to kind of go up. And then what if I get to a number and my back flares up after that? Then I can say, okay, why don't I just drop the weight again and then kind of start from there. It's just very easy and systematic to just kind of see the numbers and try to maybe be a little more objective about it, to kind of take away that scary emotional, like, oh my gosh, my back is going to explode if I do this. Okay. So I'm going to keep laying on some stuff with surrounding back pain, because personally, I've known lots of people that have dealt with it. Okay. And to be frank, there's just terrible advice out there. And I want to try to fight that tide of bad advice. Unfortunately, there are a lot of clinicians out there, doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, and general lay public people, and just stupid articles and whatnot of don't do this, don't do that. Really providing bad information, and not every clinician, but there are quite a few, right? And they're not up to date with what the science is telling us. So they're giving incorrect information. Is the sad part. Like, it's just false. Okay, like it's, for lack of a better word, been proven otherwise. Okay, they're just not up to date with what we understand now. And the problem with that is that the patient, the consumer, the client, the human being that's dealing with this back pain is suffering from that, and then probably not living the fullest life that you could live if you were given better information. Okay, and then sometimes maybe just guided through the process in a better way. Okay, so I really appreciate your time. Thanks for sticking with me. Like I said, I'm going to be hitting you with more of these videos, just talking about these topics, low back pain. We'll get into other pains. I've heard everything, probably shoulder, knee, ankle. So we'll get into all of that, and we'll talk about all that. And I'm probably going to stick with low back pain and maybe sciatica for a little while, just to kind of round out this. And then I'm going to put a little section on my website so it's a little bit more organized and have all this information in a very clear way, so you can kind of find what you need to find. So again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.